Apparently, walking in on your husband and your sister reenacting a romance novel doesn't qualify as family bonding time. But there I was, standing in my sister's doorway on a random Friday in October, watching my personal trainer husband demonstrate moves that definitely weren't in his CrossFit certification manual. And before you ask, yes, I live-streamed the entire disaster to our family group chat. If I was going down, I was taking everyone with me. Let me rewind. I'm Harper, 32, a high school English teacher in Coral Springs, Florida, a place where the heat never quits and my family's morals apparently melt right along with it. My husband ex-husband Grayson, is 35, rocks a man bun he swears makes him look spiritual, but really just says, I peaked in college. He earns a living convincing middle-aged women that burpees will change their lives. Spoiler alert. The only thing that changed was my marital status. My sister Sienna is 29, had 8,000 Instagram followers, until I turned her into a cautionary tale. She truly believes living her truth means sleeping with other people's husbands. Her whole aesthetic is coastal grandmother meets Pinterest board, all linen dresses and pompous grass, and apparently, that includes borrowing other women's men along with their good silverware. That Friday began like any other suffocating Florida afternoon. Hurricane season was technically over, though the humidity clearly hadn't received the memo. I'd just finished teaching my 5th period juniors about the Scarlet Letter, the irony of which would hit me about 90 minutes later, when Principal Davenport announced an early dismissal for a fire drill that somehow turned into a plumbing catastrophe. Something about the boys' locker room and a toilet that had finally given up on life. Relatable. So there I was at 2:47 p.m. Unexpectedly free, holding the world's ugliest dress, one Sienna had loaned me for our cousin's wedding last month. I say loaned because she'd texted me 17 times asking for it back, as if I'd stolen the Hope Diamond instead of a mustard yellow monstrosity from Anthropology that made me look like a depressed banana. But fine. Good Sister Harper would return the dress, trusting, naive, and completely clueless about what awaited. I pulled into Sienna's neighborhood, one of those cookie-cutter Florida developments where every third house has the same paint, and the HOA threatens legal action if your mailbox isn't on their approved pallet. And there, parked in her driveway like a flashing neon sign reading your husband is a cheating dirtbag, was Grayson's Tesla Model 3, the black one, the one he named Midnight because he's that insufferable. The one financed entirely in my name since his credit score looked like a phone number from the 1920s. Now, I'm not stupid. Well, marrying Grayson might argue otherwise, but I'd noticed things: gym sessions that ran late, the new cologne, the phone angled just out of sight, the sudden work emergencies. Classic cheater bingo. I'd been collecting red flags like Pokemon cards, waiting for the perfect moment to cash in. But my sister? That was a twist even my true crime-obsessed brain hadn't predicted. I parked 2 blocks away because, despite the fury bubbling inside me, I still had the sense to preserve the element of surprise. The sun beat down like God's personal heat lamp, sweat already soaking my World's Okayest Teacher t-shirt, a gift from my students that felt a little too on the nose. I crept towards Sienna's house like some kind of suburban ninja. Her place was an open-concept nightmare where the living room windows faced the street because privacy, apparently, is dead. One glance through the glass was all it took. Grayson sat shirtless on her cream-colored couch, the one she bragged cost more than my first car. Sienna wore his black Nike DRI Fit shirt, the one I bought for his birthday, the one that read "Train insane or remain the same." That phrase now felt like a personal insult. A bottle of expensive Prosecco from Whole Foods sat open on the table, his hand resting on her thigh, her head tucked against his shoulder, the kind of practiced intimacy that doesn't happen by accident. This wasn't a mistake, it was a routine. My vision went red, then terrifyingly clear, that crystalline rage where every detail sharpens and you stop being a person and turn into a force of nature. I pulled out my phone, opened our family group chat, Shine Squad, my mother's idea, bless her aggressively optimistic Cuban heart, positioned the camera, and took a deep breath that tasted like betrayal and Florida humidity. The front door was unlocked because Sienna lives in a fantasy world where nothing bad happens to people who burn lavender candles and post inspirational quotes. I pushed it open quietly, the fancy hinges she bragged about finally doing their job, and stepped into her foyer marble tile, fake orchids, and a sign that said good vibes only. I was about to destroy that policy. I cleared my throat loud, deliberate, the kind of sound that announces, I'm here, and I'm about to ruin your entire existence. They jumped like I'd fired a starter pistol. Grayson's hand flew off her thigh so fast he knocked over the Prosecco bottle. Sienna's eyes went wider than when she got Botox from a Groupon and couldn't blink for 3 days. The wine spread across her cream couch like a crime scene. Poetic. Don't stop on my account, I said, voice steady, phone already recording, finger hovering over the live button. Actually, no, do stop, I need the angle right. Sienna, tilt your head toward the camera. Grayson, maybe flex. Give the people what they want. Harper, Grayson started, scrambling off the couch, reaching for a throw pillow like it might cover his shame. Harper, this isn't what it looks like. Sienna shrieked, standing too, my husband's shirt barely covering her thighs. My husband's shirt. My gift. My money. My life. Really? I hit the leave button, and the family group chat detonated into chaos, green dots lighting up like fireworks. Everyone was watching live, because apparently, my husband betraying me with my sister on a couch that costs more than my monthly salary was must-see family television. Please, I said, enlighten me. What exactly am I looking at? The group chat erupted faster than a champagne bottle at a divorce party. My phone vibrated so hard it nearly developed self-awareness and filed its own restraining order. 73 notifications in 14 seconds, a new family record. My mother, Lucia, was firing off messages in rapid-fire Spanish, her Cuban temper turning every syllable into an exorcism. My father, Victor, the calm, retired lawyer who never lost his composure, sent one message, written entirely in caps. Recording this, Tilda? ? Need for court. Always the attorney, even mid-crisis. God bless that paranoid man. Meanwhile, my cousin Maya, chaos enthusiast extraordinaire, flooded the chat with gifs, popcorn, Michael Jackson eating popcorn, the Real Housewives woman pointing and screaming. Her contributions were always purely aesthetic, and, honestly, I respected the dedication. Back in Sienna's Pottery Barn showroom of a living room, Grayson had moved from frozen shock to frantic damage control. The man who usually communicated in protein shake recipes suddenly fancied himself Cicero. Babe, listen, she was upset about. He glanced helplessly at Sienna for backup, which was like asking a goldfish to handle your taxes, useless and slightly pitiful. We were talking, Sienna managed, her voice pitched so high only dogs could appreciate it. She clutched his shirt, my gift, my money tighter around herself like it could shield her from accountability. About my relationship problems. With Ethan. Oh, this was rich. Ethan, her on-again, off-again crypto entrepreneur, which is to say unemployed with strong Bitcoin opinions. They'd split 4 months ago after he borrowed her car, returned it with scratches, and a parking ticket from Miami. She'd cried to me for 3 weeks. I'd brought ice cream. I'd listened. I'd been the good sister. Apparently, her grief therapy involved my husband's torso and imported Italian Prosecco. Ethan, I repeated slowly, phone steady, camera rolling for the family archives. So you were upset about Ethan. And naturally, your solution was wearing my husband's shirt like a romper while he demonstrated one-on-one training on your overpriced couch. The group chat detonated again. My mother, Sienna Marie. Get your father's last name out your mouth, you disgrace. My father, reviewing prenup clause 7 now. Proceed with recording. Maya, 3 flame emojis and a skull. It's not like that. Sienna sobbed, eyes glassy. And there it was, her oldest trick. Tears. The waterworks. Her lifelong escape route. Cry, earn sympathy, dodge consequences. It had worked on our parents until she was 25 and on boyfriends until they started checking their credit statements. It wasn't going to work on me today. Then what is it like, Sienna? I stepped closer, camera raised, capturing every second in high definition. Explain it to me, and to Mom, Dad, Maya, and Aunt Rosa, who just joined the live. Hi, Aunt Rosa. From where I'm standing, it looks like my husband's more familiar with your couch than I am. And I've been here every Sunday for brunch for 2 years. That last detail hit Grayson like a fastball to the gut. His face flickered, a guilty micro-expression confirming what I'd already suspected. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time lapse. This was routine. How long? I asked, voice calm to calm. The kind of calm that lives right before restraining orders and asset division. Silence. Even the group chat went still. 73 people holding their breath across devices. How long? 3 months, Grayson whispered, his first honest statement in 3 months. 90 days. 13 Sunday brunches. Countless late nights at the gym. Multiple work emergencies. That weekend, he claimed to be at a fitness convention in Tampa. He came home with a tan that perfectly matched Sienna's Clearwater Beach selfies. The ones I'd liked because I was a supportive sister. I wanted to throw my phone. I wanted to throw her decorative succulents. I wanted to throw him into the sun. But I didn't because professionals wait for maximum impact. 3 months, I repeated for the recording. 90 days of lying to my face. 90 days of you coming home smelling like her perfume. Yes, I noticed. I'm not blind. And telling me it was from hugging clients goodbye. 90 days of family dinners where you two sat across from each other, pretending to be normal, while I passed you the bread basket like an idiot. Harper, please, Sienna whispered, reaching toward me, actually reaching, as if she had the right. I stepped back so sharply she nearly fell. Don't. Don't you dare. You don't get to touch me. You don't get to cry. You don't get to play the victim because your fake boyfriend drama wasn't getting enough attention. The tears kept coming anyway, dramatic, chest-heaving sobs designed for sympathy. But I'd seen the show before. Sienna could cry on command, could turn herself into the tragic heroine in any situation. Once, she even cried her way out of a speeding ticket by telling the cop she was rushing to her dying grandmother, who was, in reality, alive and thriving in Boca Raton, playing mahjong. You know what the best part is? I turned to Grayson, who looked like he wished the floor would swallow him whole. You signed a prenup. Remember that thing my dad made you sign? The one you rolled your eyes at and said was unnecessary because we were forever, babe. His face drained of color. Oh, he remembered. Clause 7, Grayson. The infidelity clause. Ironclad, notarized, and filed right alongside our marriage certificate. Any proven affair means you forfeit every right to marital assets, cover all legal fees, and walk away with exactly what you brought into the marriage. I could practically see him doing the math in his head. The house, bought by me before the wedding. The Tesla, financed under my name. The furniture, mostly mine or gifted by my family. His grand contributions? A Peloton bike and strong opinions about macros. Wait, he said, voice suddenly small. Wait, I didn't read the contract. Yeah, I know, I said, smiling. Not a happy smile, a cold, deliberate one. The kind of smile that says, I've already won. I'm just watching you realize it. You were too busy staring at your reflection in the notary's window to actually read the words. The family chat was losing its collective mind. Dad, Clause 7 confirmed. Full enforcement available. Recommend immediate separation of assets and filing Monday morning. Mom, bring him to Sunday dinner. I want words. Maya, this is better than Real Housewives. I ended the live stream, 4 minutes and 37 seconds of pure, unfiltered justice served cold in a Florida living room. I'm filing Monday, I said, pocketing my phone. You have until Sunday to remove your protein powder and your ego from my house. Everything else stays, including the dog. Especially the dog. Murphy deserves better than you. Harper, they said at the same time, and it was almost funny. Save it, I snapped. You two deserve each other. A man who thinks CrossFit is a personality trait, and a woman who believes 9,000 Instagram followers make her an influencer. It's perfect. Have a beautiful life together in whatever studio apartment you can afford on a personal trainer's salary without his rich wife's house to live in. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Sienna, you're uninvited from Thanksgiving, Christmas, and every family gathering for the rest of your validation-seeking life. Enjoy explaining this to Mom. I walked out with my head high, leaving them to drown in the wreckage of their own creation. The wine continued spreading across that cream couch like blood on a battlefield. Victory tasted better than any Sunday brunch ever had. But 3 blocks later, the adrenaline crash hit me hard. My hands shook so badly I had to pull into the Target parking lot, because where else do suburban women have emotional breakdowns if not under the fluorescent lights of capitalism's greatest shrine? I sat there in my Honda CR-V, the sensible teacher car I actually drove, while Grayson flaunted the Tesla I paid for air conditioning blasting as I watched a mom wrangle a screaming toddler into a cart. At least my life isn't that bad, I thought. Small victories. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. The group chat had descended into complete anarchy. Mom was planning Sienna's funeral, in Spanish. Dad was drafting legal documents in real time. Maya had created a poll. What should Harper do with Grayson stuff? Options included bonfire, donation, and catapult into the ocean. The catapult was winning. But one message stood out from Dad, private. Call me. Important. Don't react yet. My father didn't do cryptic. He did bullet points and precedent. So that text meant something big. I called immediately. Harper, he said, voice calm, the tone he used in court when he was 3 steps ahead. Before you do anything, listen carefully. Are you alone? I'm in the Target parking lot having a breakdown, so yes, technically alone, unless we're counting existential dread. Good. Here's what you need to know. I heard papers rustling. He was in his home office, retired 3 years, but still running it like a war room. I just pulled our copy of the prenup. Clause 7 is ironclad, we knew that. But there's something else, Clause 12. Clause 12. I frowned. I didn't even remember a Clause 12. Back then, I'd been too busy being in love to read past the signature line. Harper, the asset investigation clause, he said. If either party suspects financial infidelity or hidden assets during divorce proceedings, both must submit to a full financial audit, bank accounts, credit cards, investments, everything. And here's the beautiful part. If hidden assets are discovered, the guilty party forfeits them entirely to the other spouse. My brain started connecting dots faster than a conspiracy theorist on Reddit. Dad, why are you telling me this now? Because, my dear daughter, your husband has been withdrawing cash, a lot of it. Small amounts, consistently, for 3 months. I monitor the joint account. Don't give me that tone, I'm paranoid, and it pays off. 500 here, 300 there, always under 1,000 to avoid alerts. Totaling roughly $18,000. The number hit me like a slap. $18,000, that was a used car, a year of health insurance, 3 months of funding an affair. Where's it going? That's what we'll find out. But listen to me, Harper, don't confront him yet. Let him think the prenup is your only weapon. File on Monday. Trigger the audit through court and watch him panic. Panicked men make mistakes, mistakes we can use. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, watching a Target employee collect carts with more focus than I'd had in months. My father, the paranoid genius, had been right. Does Mom know? I asked. Your mother knows everything, he said dryly. She's been tracking his social media for 2 months. She's the one who noticed he started following that restaurant in Clearwater you'd never been to, but Sienna had tagged it repeatedly. Why do you think she kept insisting on Sunday dinners? She was gathering evidence. My mother. My sweet, ever-optimistic Cuban mother, the woman who posted motivational quotes about love and family, had been running covert surveillance on my marriage like the FBI. So everyone knew except me, I muttered. We suspected, my father corrected. We didn't know. And we couldn't tell you without proof. Because, Harper, you're loyal to a fault. You would have defended him. You would have said we were being paranoid. You would have given him a chance to explain. And he was right, I absolutely would have. I'd have believed some story about a secret investment or a gym expansion, maybe even a surprise trip he was saving for. I'd have been the understanding wife, calm, rational, the cool girl who doesn't make a fuss. Thank God I walked into Sienna's house when I did. Okay, I said finally, exhaling. My hands had stopped shaking. Shock was giving way to clarity. Okay, what's the plan? I could hear the satisfaction in my father's voice. Now you sound like my daughter. Here's what we do. Go home. Act devastated, but not suspicious about money. Let him think you're just furious about the affair. He'll try to smooth things over counseling, second chances, the usual routine. Refuse everything. Stay firm about divorce. Monday morning, we file. Tuesday, we request a full financial audit. By Wednesday, he'll realize he's trapped. Men like Grayson aren't clever enough to hide money properly. And if by some miracle he tried, he's not moving it offshore. He's a personal trainer, not an international financier. Most likely, it's tucked into a checking account under his gym's name or handed off in cash. We'll find it. And when we do, Clause 12 makes it all yours, plus whatever he was saving it for. The pieces clicked into place. 3 months of secret withdrawals, 3 months of lies, 3 months of an affair conducted under my nose. It wasn't random, it was strategy. He'd been planning an escape, maybe a cushion for when his double life collapsed. But he hadn't accounted for the paranoid lawyer father and the Cuban mother who treated family protection like an Olympic sport. Amateur mistake. There's one more thing, my father said, lowering his voice. Your sister's Instagram. My stomach tightened. What about it? Your mother checked her business accounts. She's been getting consistent monthly payments for social media consulting. Guess who's paying her? I already knew before he said it. Grayson's gym, he confirmed. $1,200 a month for the last 3 months. Same timeline as the affair. Maybe it's legitimate. Or maybe it's hush money, payment for silence, complicity, or cooperation in whatever he's planning. The room spun for a moment. Sienna wasn't just the other woman, she was on the payroll. The betrayal wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated, structured, funded. He's going to regret underestimating this family, I said quietly. He already does, Dad replied. He just doesn't know it yet. Now go home. Feed Murphy. Act heartbroken. Let him pack his gym bags and his ego. Monday morning, meet me at the office at 8 sharp. We've got paperwork to file and an audit to trigger. Your mother's making Cuban coffee and planning revenge. It's going to be a good week. When I hung up, I sat for another minute, watching suburban life move around me. A teenager wrangling carts, a couple arguing about paper towels, a woman shouting into her phone about book club. Normal life. The kind I thought I had until 4 hours ago. I started the car. Murphy needed dinner. I needed wine. And Grayson needed to believe he was only losing a wife, not his entire financial future. Let him pack his protein powder. Let him think the prenup was the worst of it. Let him sleep tonight believing this was just an affair gone wrong. Monday morning would be very educational. I pulled out of the Target parking lot with a smile, not a sad one, not even an angry one, but a strategic one. The kind of smile that comes when you realize you're 3 moves ahead in a chess match your opponent didn't even know he was playing. Grayson wanted to play games? Fine. But he brought gym equipment to a legal battlefield. And my father brought a law degree and 30 years of paranoid preparation. Game on. Monday morning arrived like Christmas for the vindictive. I met my father at his office at 8 sharp, clutching a folder thick enough to be considered a weapon, fueled by spite and Cuban coffee. My mother had sent me off with a thermos, 2 empanadas, and a kiss on the forehead, whispering, "Destroy him, Mija." Parental love comes in many forms. Mine came with carbs and a thirst for legal blood. Victor's office hadn't changed since his retirement. The same mahogany desk, leather chairs that smelled like expensive decisions, and a wall of legal books that hadn't been opened since the internet became a thing, but they looked impressive. And today was about appearances. Ready? He asked, sliding a neat stack of papers across the desk. I signed my name 9 times without reading a word. Trusting your lawyer father hits differently when he's been right about everything. By 9:15, we'd filed for divorce. By 9:45, we'd submitted a full financial audit under Clause 12. By 10:30, the court clerk had processed it with the bored efficiency of someone who'd seen this exact story play out weekly. Apparently, cheating husbands and hidden money were their own subgenre of family law. Now we wait, Victor said, leaning back with the quiet pride of a man who'd just deployed a legal nuke. The court will notify him by end of day. He has 72 hours to provide full documentation for all accounts, transactions, and assets from the last 6 months. If he doesn't comply, automatic judgment in your favor. If he does and we find hidden assets, Clause 12 kicks in and he forfeits everything. He paused, smirking. And if he tries to lawyer up, with what money? The $18,000 he withdrew is probably already gone. His gym barely breaks even, I checked. Any attorney worth their retainer will tell him to settle immediately. I sipped my coffee. It tasted like victory and espresso. Mostly espresso. What about Sienna? I asked. Victor's smile turned razor-sharp. Your mother is handling Sienna. I suggest you don't ask for details. Plausible deniability is a beautiful thing. Fair enough. My mother's version of revenge didn't just involve family, it involved the entire Cuban community, her church circle, and probably 3 women's committees I'd never heard of. Sienna's social life was about to become a smoldering wasteland. Her Instagram followers were already in freefall, down to 6,000 by morning. Turns out homewrecker chic isn't a sustainable brand. At 4:17 p.m., the notification came through. Grayson had been served. Within seconds, my phone exploded with messages. Denial. This is insane, babe. We can work this out. Bargaining. I'll go to counseling. We can fix this. Anger. Your dad's a psycho. This is harassment. Desperation. Please, Harper. I love you. This is too much. 3 months of sleeping with my sister was fine, but legal consequences were too much. I replied once, you have 72 hours. Provide the documents or lose everything. Your choice. Then I blocked him. Murphy, my golden retriever with better judgment than most men, had been infinitely better company. We spent the weekend watching trash TV and eating ice cream straight from the container. His was dog safe, mine was Ben and Jerry's. We were coping just fine. Tuesday morning brought the first crack in Grayson's composure. My father called at 7 a.m. He tried to withdraw $8,000 from the joint account, Victor said, sounding far too delighted. The bank declined. I already froze it pending the divorce. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered Sienna in his Nike shirt, and the feeling passed. He's panicking, Victor continued, smug. Panic makes people stupid. Watch, he'll do something desperate within 24 hours. My father, the oracle of male stupidity, was right again. By Tuesday afternoon, Grayson had indeed done something stupid. He posted a long, self-pitying rant on Instagram about fake people, betrayal, and gold diggers who weaponize prenups. Naturally, he paired it with shirtless gym photos, because apparently crisis management means abs. The comments were chaos. Clients confused, gym buddies supportive, until someone, thank you Maya, linked the family group chat video. She'd screen recorded it and, in a stroke of divine clumsiness, uploaded it to a local Facebook group with 40,000 members. The video went locally viral. Everyone in Coral Springs had seen it. The yoga moms knew. The PTA knew. People whispered in Publix aisles and sent me sympathetic nods while slipping in gossip. Grayson's gym started hemorrhaging clients. Turns out women don't enjoy paying a cheater to yell at them about squats. His business partner, Dylan, the responsible one, called me personally to apologize and confirm they were dissolving the partnership. Karma worked quietly, but effectively. Sometimes she wore the face of suburban gossip and canceled memberships. Wednesday arrived with a mountain of documents, bank statements, credit cards, Venmo logs, everything. Grayson had complied because he had no choice. What we found was a masterclass in stupidity. The $18,000? Deposited into a checking account under his gym's LLC. Not hidden. Not offshore. Just in a different account labeled like a neon sign that said, I'm bad at crime. The consulting payments to Sienna were marked as business expenses, complete with fake invoices she designed on Canva, because nothing screams professional fraud like pastel templates and cursive fonts. But the real gem? A $3,000 receipt from a Miami jeweler, dated 2 months earlier, for an engagement ring. An engagement ring. For my sister. While still married to me. Living in my house. Sleeping in my bed. I stared at the receipt from Victor's desk, feeling an emotion somewhere between rage and astonishment at the sheer audacity. This is the smoking gun, Victor said, eyes scanning the papers. Premeditated affair with intent to marry. The court will crucify him. Can we use it? I asked, my voice sharper than glass. Harper, he said with quiet satisfaction, we can use it to enforce every clause in that prenup. We can seize the hidden money under Clause 12. We might even add damages for emotional distress. He didn't just cheat, he used marital assets to fund his next engagement. Judges love punishing that. By Friday morning, it was over. Grayson's lawyer, a DUI specialist he found on Google who worked out of a strip mall, took one look at the evidence and advised immediate settlement. Final terms. I kept the house, the Tesla, all the furniture, and Murphy. Grayson paid all legal fees, mine and his. The $18,000 hidden in the gym account? Mine. The engagement ring? Returned to the jeweler. Refund deposited, also mine. The gym partnership? Dissolved. Dylan wanted no part of the scandal. Grayson left the marriage with his Peloton, his protein powder collection, and a one-bedroom apartment in the damp part of Fort Lauderdale, the kind of place that smells like mildew and regret. Sienna lost her consulting gig and the remainder of her dwindling followers. Screenshots of their messages circulated for weeks. She was exiled from every family gathering until further notice, which in my mother's terms means forever. Last I heard, she moved to Orlando, the traditional Florida habitat for people escaping consequences. The ring receipt became family legend. My mother framed it, actually framed it, and hung it in her kitchen next to wedding photos and the grandchildren she still hopes for. A reminder, she tells guests to marry smart. As for me, I sat in my house, sipping wine on my couch with Murphy's head in my lap, Tesla keys on the table, and the sunset painting the walls gold. Single. Satisfied. Significantly richer than a month ago. Then the doorbell rang. The camera, another gift from my paranoid father, showed a man holding flowers. Not a delivery driver. An actual man, smiling. Caleb, 34, software engineer. We'd matched on Hinge 2 weeks ago. He knew about the divorce, hard to avoid when you're locally viral, and hadn't run away. Points for courage. I opened the door. He handed me sunflowers, not roses. Roses felt too serious for a third date, he said with a grin. Sunflowers felt optimistic. A man who understood nuance. Already better than Grayson. You want to meet Murphy? I asked. I was hoping you'd ask. We went inside. Murphy approved instantly, which was the only endorsement I needed. Caleb didn't mansplain my TV choices or check his reflection in every surface. He laughed at my jokes and didn't post our evening on social media. Revolutionary. That night, after he left with plans for next weekend, I stood in my kitchen, my beautiful, Grayson-free kitchen, and texted my father, "Thanks for the paranoia and the prenup." He replied immediately, "Told you. Never underestimate a good lawyer and a bad husband." Truer words had never been texted. 8 months later, I sat on my back porch, emphasis on my, watching Murphy chase butterflies he'd never catch and thinking about the absolute circus my life had become since that Friday in October. People ask me if I regret live streaming my husband's affair to 73 family members. The answer? No. Absolutely not. Not even a little. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat, only this time with better lighting and a tripod. Here's the thing no one tells you about Betrayal. The trash eventually takes itself out, but good documentation speeds up the process. That 4-minute video became the gift that kept on giving. Grayson couldn't deny a thing. Sienna couldn't rewrite history. And I got to watch them panic in real time while a chorus of relatives delivered live commentary. Peak entertainment. 5 stars. Would recommend. The divorce finalized in January, quick, clean, and devastating for exactly one party. Grayson tried to reconcile twice, once with a 2 a.m. drunk text that read "I miss Murphy," and once through my mother at church. Mistake. She told him, word for word, "My daughter is out of your league." Always was. And you can miss Murphy from your sad apartment. Then she blocked his number and lit a candle for my future. Catholic Cuban mothers don't mess around. Sienna sent a handwritten letter in March, as if we were living in a Jane Austen novel instead of Central Florida. 6 pages of "I'm sorry" and "Ethan really hurt me." I read 2 paragraphs, fed it into the shredder, and felt nothing. Not anger, not sorrow, just the quiet satisfaction of watching manipulation fail on someone who'd outgrown it. She's still in Orlando, working at a boutique hotel and posting filtered sunsets with captions about healing and new beginnings. Her follower count stabilized around 4,000. Turns out infidelity gives you a temporary engagement boost, but substance sustains longevity, and she's always lacked substance. The market corrected itself. Grayson's doing about as well as you'd expect, which is to say, not great. His gym folded in February. Dylan bought him out for next to nothing and rebranded it Integrity Fitness. Poetic. Through the Coral Springs gossip network, faster than Wi-Fi, I heard Grayson's now teaching spin classes to retirees at an LA fitness and living with his parents in Pompano Beach. 35 years old, back in his childhood bedroom, posting motivational quotes about rebuilding from rock bottom. The irony is delicious. My therapist says I should release the satisfaction. I'm currently searching for a new therapist. As for me, Caleb and I are still together, 8 months strong. He met my family at Easter, brave man. My mother grilled him on intentions, finances, and his stance on prenuptial agreements. He passed all 3. He even made my father laugh with a lawyer joke. That's when I knew he was permanent material. He hasn't met Grayson, thank God, but has met Murphy, my colleagues, and my college friends who'd suspected Grayson all along yet waited politely to say "I told you so." They said it anyway, repeatedly. I let them. They'd earned it. The house feels different now. Lighter. Like it finally exhaled after years of tension. I repainted the bedroom, replaced the couch where Grayson once mansplained cryptocurrency, and installed a security system that could bring my father to tears of pride. Murphy got a bigger bed. I got peace of mind. We're both thriving. I'm teaching summer school by choice, not necessity. The settlement money, $18,000 from the hidden account, $3,000 from the ring refund, plus my own equity, has been invested. My father manages it because his paranoia apparently extends to portfolio diversification. At this rate, I'll retire at 60 with more money than Grayson will see in his lifetime. Compound interest and spite, unbeatable duo. My students know about the divorce because teenagers know everything. One asked if I was the live stream divorce lady. I said yes. He said, iconic, and gave me a fist bump. Gen Z gets it. Biggest lessons? Trust only those who've earned it. Document everything. Never underestimate a paranoid father with a law degree. And remember, prenups aren't romantic, but neither is losing your house to a man with a man bun. Sometimes I think back to that Friday afternoon, the wine-soaking Sienna's cream couch, Grayson's expression when I mentioned Clause 7, the glorious chaos in the family group chat. If I could change anything, I wouldn't. Maybe I'd just pick a better outfit. That "World's Okayest Teacher" t-shirt wasn't exactly iconic couture. But the content? Perfect. No notes. Life's too short to stay married to men who treat fidelity as optional, and far too long to waste energy on sisters who treat family like a dating pool. I chose myself. I chose legal preparation over blind faith. I chose the dog. Best decisions I've ever made. And if Grayson or Sienna ever wonder whether I still think about them, I do. Every time I make a Tesla payment, sip wine on my porch, or introduce Caleb to someone who remembers the scandal, I think about them and smile. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, living better than the people who underestimated you, with higher credit, stronger boundaries, and infinitely better taste. Murphy just caught a butterfly. He's absurdly proud. I snap a picture to send to Caleb with the caption, "Family achievement unlocked." Life is good. The couch is comfortable. The wine is cold. And the only man in my house is the one I invited. The one who brings me sunflowers and never betrayal. That's not revenge. That's an upgrade.